Hello and welcome to another episode of the Collective Spotlight. I am your host, Danny Morales, and honestly, I try to be unbiased, but this is easily one of my favorite shows because I have two of my favorite guests, two of my favorite writers right now in comics. We're starting off with Jonathan Hedrick, who is not new to the show at all. Jonathan's been here. I want to say this is his third time, so let's just go ahead and bring him up. The writer of the Recount, Freakshow Knight, and so many capable and so many other stories. His name is Jonathan Hedrick, and Steven, can we bring him on up? How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing, Danny?
Good, dude. It's good to see you back. You kind of had like a 1.5 month hiatus because of Scouts publishing, which is great for retailers. But now we're back at it, dude. Second print.
Look at that cover.
I haven't been able to hold a number one of the Recount in my hands for over a month. So this has been much overdue. But let's jump right in. John, what did it feel like to get a second print, have the need for a second print?
Man. Oh, it's icing on the cake. It's not even icing on the cake. It's like the sprinkles after the icing. I'm like, so thrilled that there was a need for a second print, man. And then Gabriel knocked out an awesome another cover for it. Look at the colors. He did everything on that. He did the colors on that as well. I love the peace sign for 2, as in
peace
the second.
Sign. You got the vote on the cap.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great cover. Should catch some eyes. So.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you technically on air since the day before issue 1 was launching.
Okay.
So you've a lot of hype. I hate to use the word hype because hype seems like, but a lot of positive publicity after your issue released. Tons of people reviewed it. It was on hot covers, hot books. What was that like for you, dude, to get this like absolute? I know you were on a ton of shows and everything like that.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so cool. I'm just so happy with the reception to the book. I was holding my breath. Since I came up with the concept of it, because I had no idea how it would be received. If people would just, because of the theme of it, you never know how people could take it. So yeah, I'm really blessed that how everything turned out.
Yeah. And what's cool is, despite the name, and I know a couple people had fun with the name for their headlines of their articles, but despite their name, a lot of people pretty much said that this book is a thriller. Like you said at the very beginning, this is a thriller, and it very much does that. Talking about, what you've been able to do, issue 2 does come out, is it next week?
The 17th.
17th. Yep. So next week, we're actually going to have you here in the store the week after that for a signing on, I believe it's the
24th.
24th. Yeah. So talk to me about finally being able, you've had this issue done for a while, but you didn't really get a chance to talk about it too much in the last month or so. So talk to me about finally being able to get that issue 2 pushed out.
Oh, well, issue 2 is where is truly the proving ground. Number ones are going to sell just because they're number ones. That's a given for the most part. But number 2 is going to prove to the readers how well the story's actually going. Did I trap lightning in a bottle, or is there something really there? So I'm more excited about issue 2 than I am actually issue 1.
Awesome. And we're excited to get this in the hands of readers. There's also a web store exclusive cover that they did not ship to us just yet, but it will be here by the time you get here.
Yep.
John, in the time that you released, well, actually, like right after Scout number 1 had released, you went ahead and you had, well, first of all, Cthulhu Invades Oz happened.
Yeah.
You have a story in there. Who did you work alongside with in that story?
The artist is Robbie Bragdon.
Okay.
He did the pencils and inks, and then the colorist is Sunil Gagar, who's also the colorist on the Recount.
Nice. And which character did you get to do in that?
Tin Man.
Tin Man.
Heart of Rust. It's like a homage to Moby Dick, where Tin Man's kind of filling in that Captain Ahab role.
Okay, awesome. And we're gonna have, honestly, I mentioned it to Travis already, and I think little by little you guys are getting word of this, but the plan is for our grand opening May 1st to have as much of the Cthulhu Invades Oz team as we can. I've actually been in talks with Chuck and Wendy even to get them down from Texas. Nice. So that'll be awesome. Honestly, in 2021 we'll probably have Jonathan in the store like 10 times.
Just give me like a sleeping bag in the back.
Yeah, we'll get you a residency, dude. You're gonna be like our Celine Dion,
Oh God. And then our hearts will go on.
Yes. But no, after Cthulhu Invades Oz, you had your own Kickstarter for issue 3 of Capable.
That's right.
So first of all, tell me, dude, how do you find the time to do all the? I know some of them are already done, but how do you find the time to write all these projects? And you have a day job.
Yeah. It's I don't sleep very often. Fortunately, my day job, don't let them know this. I'm able to multitask. I'll use my words strategically. I can multitask and kind of merge all my time together. But yeah, there's some restless nights for sure. I'm not kicking back and binging everything on TV. So yeah, it's worth it though. It's hard work, but it pays off.
Well, I mean, you're knocking out hit after hit after hit. But
thank you. Yeah.
No, but talk to the Capable is a book we've been able to have. It's actually one of the books that we talked about the very first time you were on here. Yeah. Since then, you released 2, and now 3 is pretty much right on our front doors. Talk to people a little bit about Capable, and actually talk about Capable, and then I'll segue into something cool that we're working on here in the store.
Cool. Yeah, Capable is a little twist of a superhero story where people around the world one day with handicaps start developing superpowers that are opposite of what their disability was. And the main character, Derek Davidson, who was in a wheelchair, suddenly becomes a speedster. And the series focuses on him and how he adapts as a high schooler who was once handicapped, a person with disabilities, and now is super capable, for lack of better words. And we see how he adapts to a world that's becoming more capable. So it's a real fun story to write. Issue 4 is in production right now, and I took a little hard turn with it. I think people are going to be surprised with what I did with issue 4, but I don't know. I really like it. I like to humbly compare it to Walking Dead number 100. So if that kind of gives people an idea of, I kind of took some a page out of Kirkman's book.
Well, that sounds awesome. And the segue I was going to make is, so one of the characters that you meet, honestly, in the first issue of Capable is Harry.
Yep.
And we are going to be kickstarting sometime towards the end of February here, the collective Tales from the Collective and Tales from the Collective Initiative, which is going to be our anthology book featuring a bunch of creators that have been on there. You are going to be one of them. Yeah. And you're it's called Harry's Day, right?
Harry's Day, yep. And it's a 10-page story that runs concurrently with the events of issue 1. So if you've already read issue 1, spoiler free, you can totally read Harry's Day. If you haven't, you can read that one too, and then pick up issue 1. So it's a cool like bonus story.
Yeah,
I think people that have been following the series will really like it, and if they're new to the series, yeah, it's a good jumping on point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I'm super it has I mean, first of all, the book is our own, kind of, as the title shows, but you showed me that story right after I read issue 1. You're like, oh, I have this cool thing. It hasn't been seen by anybody yet. I don't even know when I'm going to publish it. Right. So I've gotten a chance to read it, and very much so, like you said, as somebody who's enjoyed issue 1, it literally hits the ground. It's like, oh wow, that happened, and you can see where the stories cross right there.
Yeah.
So you did that really well, dude, and I cannot wait to get issue 3 here in store and to have the Harry's Day story in our book.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So you are working on something new as well, right? I believe. Yeah. Did you officially announced, or was it a tease? I forget.
I mean, I've been teasing, but yeah, I officially announced the title of it. Yeah.
So talk to us. What was the name of that again? Steven was literally just talking to it with me. Quicksand. So yeah. I know you've been kind of in the back before you announced it. You had been talking to me about like, I got a new project going. I'm really excited about it. I can't talk about it. But now that you can, what is Quicksand? What is this type of story that you're working on?
Quicksand is a sci-fi horror miniseries that I've been rolling around in my mind for a while now that I'm really happy to put into production finally. And it's kind of like the movie Aliens, the James Cameron version, meets the horror film The Descent, with a little bit of Stargate thrown in there too. So it's something completely different. I mean, I've wrote horror before with Freakshow Princess and Freakshow Knight. Haven't done sci-fi as much, so kind of blended those two together, and really happy to see that one. Most of it's already done for issue 1. Just got to polish it, and probably will kickstart it or crowdfund it maybe the end of March, not sooner.
Wow, that's right around the corner then. Who's your artist on that?
Her name is Deborah Lancinese, she is Italian, and I found her on Facebook and sent her the script, and she went to town on it. She faster than I could pay her for the pages. She was so stoked to be involved with the project, and she's just as excited as I am about it. And what's really cool is I also brought Sunil back from the Recount to color it, and Christian Dokolamansky, who is the letterer on the Recount and Freakshow Knight. So us 4, we make up all the creators, and we're all on a different continent. I mean, I've worked with people. Most of my projects is people from other countries, but all 4 of us are in a different part of the world, which I think is really cool on an international level.
No, and that's super cool because I remember you first of all, you do a great job on your social media. Which actually I'm going to segue into that in a second. But one time I remember on social media, you posted a video of Gino, who's your artist on Capable, who's in Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right, yeah.
So a video of him finally getting his comps, because it takes a while to get over there, and shipping, I'm sure for you, is through the roof. Right. But you're a great creator, so you send your artist comps. And it was cool to see how somebody from over there, reacted to getting their comps, and it was very much the way you react when you get your comps. But it was just cool because he doesn't get them as often, and it was cool to see that glimpse at both sides of the creative side.
Absolutely, and as soon as I get a Capable 3 from the printer, I'm going to send him that, and he did the Ashcan Freak Show Jester, so I'm going to send him. Yep,
with our friend David Galliano, who has not been in our story yet, and I'm gonna have to like
give him, that?
I know, dude. I had to give his book to you. Did you have you sent him since then?
Nope.
and he's over here telling me I got this cool new job. I'm gonna be more accessible. I ain't seen him at all. I liked it better when he was a nurse. but yeah. Anyways, actually, I can't have any of you guys on without talking about the Space Coast. More than Trinity that you guys have built over there with you and David have both been published through Diamond Publishers with Mad Cave and Scout. Travis has more than his fair share of successful Kickstarters. You guys have David Byrne just up the coastline. Talk to me again. I mean, I gotta always ask, what's it like having you guys are all friends, but you guys are all peers as well. What's it like having that network so close to you?
Oh, it's so beneficial. You can't put a price on it. Just to be able to bounce things off someone in person. I've since I began my comic book career, I've met so many cool people online and have so many supporters that way. But to have someone that's in your backyard per se is just such a benefit. Like I said, it's priceless.
So going back to your social media, you have a group for the Recount.
Yep.
And you're running a contest.
That's right. Which
involves this guy.
That's right. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. You want to fill everybody in and then let them know where they can participate?
Yeah. So it's a giveaway for if you take a picture of the second print cover after you purchase it from your local comic book shop or get in the mail, however you obtain your comics. Post that in the Recount comic book Facebook page group, or whatever. And I'm giving away 5 different copies of, or 5 copies of the main cover of the first print, signed by me. And if they tag their local comic book shop, I'll send them a copy too. So,
and if you
5
tag us,
people.
if you tag us, we'll just make sure to pass on the issues he sends to us to fans because we already have some. So,
Yes.
but yeah, we'll go ahead and in the comments we'll go ahead and leave this after the show so that you guys can find the group, the link to his group. But yes, we have a good amount of these. We're not going to put, I'm going to be transparent with everybody. We're not going to put them all out on the shelves this week because we want to have some for when Jonathan is here. So about 50% of our stock will go out, but go ahead and grab one while you can. And Jonathan will literally be here in 2 weeks signing both 1s and 2s.
Heck yeah.
Now, John, you also, one of the things that I've been holding off here till the end is your other project is the Freakshow universe, right? Like, I mean, that's what kind of you coined it a little bit.
Freakshow
Kingdom. There we go.
Yeah.
So it started with Freakshow Princess.
Yep.
Which was just a was it a one shot or was it an anthology? It was a one shot, right?
One shot, 24-page one shot.
Yep. 24-page one shot in a post-apocalyptic zombie universe. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, not easy.
And then so that was successful. It's done very well here. Anybody that buys Walking Dead, I'm able to sell that book. They've never said a word. They love it. Then you end up through Kickstarter successfully doing your second one shot in that universe.
Yep,
which was Freakshow Knight.
Yep.
And we've had you come to the store. You've signed these. These are signed. But in after your Kickstarter ended, something really cool happened to you, did it not?
It did, yes. Yeah.
So I'm just beating around the bush now. Do you want to go ahead and tell people what ended up going on and happening with Freakshow Knight?
I'll try to give as best as I can. Well, it got picked up by Second Sight Publishing, which is a new publisher, and they are soliciting it through Diamond, and then you all at the collective asked about doing a store exclusive, and you did it the most the most full throttle way you could, and asked Donnie Cates online on Twitter if it's okay if his likeness could be put on a cover for a book he's never heard of, for a publisher that he's never heard, that's brand new, for a creator that he's never heard of. And I think that went out like late at night, maybe at 11 or 12 o'clock, and my phone was on silent, but I could tell something was happening because it wouldn't stop. It was glowing, because of notifications. And I'm like, all right, someone died. if I'm getting this much, action on my phone this late at night, someone must be dead. But let me see who it is. So I look at my phone. I got a ton of Twitter notifications, which I don't get that much action on that. That platform. And one of the notifications says Donnie Cates is following you on Twitter. I'm like, oh, that must be a mistake. He must have meant Jonathan Hickman. But then I see your tweet asking about it, and then it led to me apologizing to Donnie Cates for bringing him into the mix and all that. But it eventually led to a cover.
It did, and it's hilarious because you say he'd never heard of you, but in theory, I think he'd heard of you at least once because we did call you on Twitter the next Donnie Cates, and he's like, oh, I've lived long enough to see the next me. So we put you on his radar now, but yeah. So Steven, if he's up front, I do believe we finally got some artwork for that with a trade dress from Second Sight. And the cover is done by he's a Floridian. He's technically in Georgia right now, but we're actually going to fly him down for the release so that you and the artist will be here for the signing. Nice. But this is done by our friend Hoyt Silva, and it is an homage to the Venom cover that Scotty Young did featuring Ryan Stegman and Donnie Cates, but it features Donnie Cates and Jonathan Hedrick. And it's got the Second Sight there.
And it literally is the exact tweets that was happening that I woke up to.
Yes, that is live. And then the rest of the collective crew is up there lifting up John in our zombie forms.
And I love that I have my signature 3/4 sleeve orange and black shirt.
Yeah, that's like your go-to style, and you got the hat on, dude. Like we knocked it. I mean, Hoyt knocked it out of the park. I was like, I had to think to myself, who's going to be good at doing kind of like a character? Like, I don't want it photorealistic. I wanted it characterized. And Hoyt came to mind immediately. And we've got all of our employees. Maddie's in the back, Megan's in the front, me with the big head, Steven with his badge and his different color hair. And then we got Zoe in the back with her mask. Everybody's got their trademark stuff. But no, we're going to have these here in store. They're going to be available online starting tomorrow as well on shop.dcollectivecomics.com. But the cool thing is we don't have the cover just yet. But in very Marvel fashion, we're going to do a secret cover too. Of a 250 print run. This one is going to be printed on 750, but we're going to do a 250 print run secret cover. I'm going to sit down and talk with John probably when he's in the store here in the next couple of weeks and figure out what we want to do with that, because it's going to be dope. Like, if you guys think this is dope, the secret cover is going to be like next level. And but yeah, we're so excited to do this because we're excited that you're on Diamond. We were going to order the book no matter what, dude. But now the fact that we can have something that we call our own, and that the great Donnie Cates was nice enough to say, yeah, you guys can do this. Like, I'm okay. I mean, he made sure that you weren't like a serial killer, like let me make sure this guy's not crazy.
Right. Yeah. We had a quick few conversations over text message. Super nice guy. I've met him before at cons, as a average fan, waiting in line to get my copy of Baby Teeth signed. And when you're a creator starting new, it's really important to find people to look up to. And he's, one of those guys that, it's more than just admiring their work and the product that they put out, but I really get a lot out of what some of these folks do in public and how they react on social media, because that is more than just writing and drawing. There's how you hold yourself to your fans and live your life, for lack of better words. It goes a long way. So him, Stephanie, she's another one that I follow. It means a lot to be able to see them doing well, still being a human being, approachable as much as they can, But so having Donnie involved in that aspect is just a dream come true.
Yeah, man. And it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Stephanie as well, because she's coming up next. But also, all three of you, and technically Donnie and Stephanie have gotten the deal. You know what I'm saying? She's at DC, he's at Marvel. But you all three are kind of cut from that same cloth of, you guys cut your teeth doing self-published and independent. And, all of it was stuff that you guys had your heart into. You get anything that Donnie ever wrote, anything that you've ever written, anything I've ever read from Stephanie, you guys absolutely put everything on the page. And I think that's why we made that connection. The whole reason that cover exists, and the whole reason we felt comfortable making a tweet that says this guy's the next Donnie Cates, is because as somebody that grew up reading Donnie long before I ever thought he would be writing Thor or Venom and stuff, I was reading God Country and Baby Teeth and all that. And I see a lot of that in the Freakshow Knights and in the Capables and everything like that. So I tell people, I say it with Stephanie as well, know the name because it's going to be big, but absolutely know the name Jonathan Hedrick, because like you're clearly, first of all, you're expanding yourself. Like you just mentioned, never done sci-fi. Let me go do a sci-fi book. Like you're getting yourself out of your comfort zone. And I think people appreciate that. And you definitely, at least in our store, have a following via the name, Jonathan Hedrick has a new book. Oh, I need that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'm guessing you have, I'm over here hyping you up and we're over here in Orlando. You have some fans in Melbourne, right? I know you have a signing coming up at, is it Kingdom or is it 9.9 that you're going to have next week?
Next, the 17th, when issue 2 drops for the Recount, I'll be at 9.9 Comics in Melbourne, February 17th, and then February 20th at Kingdom of Comics. That's going to be a big turnout there because Andrea Molinari, who wrote The Shepherd for Scout, who's also my editor on the Recount, he's going to be there as well as his son, who's a co-writer. The creators of Tales from Nocturnia, Matt and Stephanie, they're going to be there to promote their stuff. And Brian Silverbacks is coming down. He did an exclusive cover for them for Recount 2, which is a real cool Heat homage cover to that movie to continue the theme of movie posters with the Recount.
Nice. I'm glad that you're willing to bunk with Brian again. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy a bigger bed if he keeps on coming down. The twins is not comfortable with me and him in it.
Don't let Steven hear that because he's gonna get jealous. He's gonna get jealous. He's gonna be like, when's John gonna invite me for a sleepover?
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, he's watching out there, and he literally probably like rolled his eyes. And he's like, "Come on, man, come on." But no, that's awesome. And Brian's another friend of the store that we honestly are hoping we can get him down as well for the May 1st Cthulhu Invades Oz signing because he worked on David Byrne's story. I mean, there's it's like what is it? The 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. We've got that with Jonathan Hedrick, you know.
Right. Yeah, and he did the Poop Show cover.
He did our shite show.
I wasn't sure the censored version.
Goonies, I mean, a lot of people call it the Poop Show, but our Goonies homage cover that we're very proud of, and he hooked us up with that. He actually, we were all together when he talked to us about that, so I have to, in a way, think. Remember, that was at Ale House while he was munching down on nachos.
That's right. Yeah.
If anybody ever wants to get on Brian Silverback's good side, you get him some good nachos. Yep, get him some nachos. But John, so now that we've talked about Freakshow Knight, and I know it's getting published through Second Sight, so you're kind of still in that promotion stage. But we're sitting here in 2021. I believe you always told me that your goal is to get one Freak Show title out a year, roughly around October. Are there plans for a third installment in the Freak Show Kingdom for this year?
There is. Yep.
Can I get a name? Can I know what part of the kingdom it'll be?
Not quite yet. I'm close. I'm close to it. Yeah.
All right. So we will get our third installment, and you're totally going to keep hitting that schedule of Freak Show, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. And then likely, I mean, you said that Capable 4 is in production already. Are you planning on trying to hit that on crowdfunding in 2021, or are you going to hold that till 2022?
No, I hopefully can do that one right after I fulfill Quicksand #1.
Nice. So, gosh, you're going to be busy, dude.
Yeah, and I got a 5-pager in Brian Silverback's Tales from Kara Prime. That's launching in April. So yeah, working with Travis Gibb on something else.
Okay, I was just gonna say, so even if you can't talk about it, there's other stuff you're working on, other stuff too, other unannounced titles.
Yes, definitely.
Jeez. I can't wait.
I have a busy first half of 2021. So
first half. Wow, this guy just said first half. He didn't even say all of 2021. He just said first half.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see. We're gonna carry it all. I mean, we're probably by the time first quarter of 2021's over, we're gonna have the Jonathan Hedrick collection. It's gonna have its own shelf. Yep. Nice. Yep. But yeah, man. So literally tomorrow on shelves, the Recount #1. For second print, do not miss out. I think you walked out of our door on that Wednesday, and we might have had like 5 copies of the first print left. So we haven't had these in a long time. If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, come by, pick it up. You can get it signed when Jonathan's here. And then next week, #2 hits. So you can literally, if you haven't gotten caught up at all, grab this, do yourself a favor, read it, and then you're ready for #2 next week. Yeah. And then you're going to be here, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that, 24th. We put 12 to 8 because that's what you were here last time. If you want to come a little later, but he'll be here sometime after 12 till about close. And man, we're gonna have everything from the Recount. We'll have the web store exclusives by then. We do still have some web store exclusives from number 1 unsigned that you didn't get a chance to sign. So we will offer them to people raw, or if they want to get them signed, but we will have a couple of web store exclusives from Rich Woodall as well.
I'll try to sneak in some other rare variants too.
Yeah. I know you might have a couple things left.
I might. I'll dig in the back of my closet, and maybe I can find something fancy.
Yep. And don't forget, if you are running, whether it's our store or any other local comic shop, and you pick up a second print of number 1, take a picture of it, take a picture with it, tag your LCS, and post it in the Recount Facebook group. We'll post a link in the comments of that. But thank you so much, Jonathan. We will see you, honestly, in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
But I hope everywhere but here your book sells out, and here we have plenty of copies leading up to your signing, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Take it easy, man. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, man. You too.
And next up, we will have Stephanie Phillips, who is the writer of Harley Quinn, as well as tons of other independent books here in the store. We'll bring her up right now with a intro. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Collective Spotlight. This, I try to be unbiased, but I have to admit, guys, this is going to be one of my absolute favorite episodes to do. We have Stephanie Phillips, who's been a friend of the store. If you've been coming into the store for the last 6, 7, 8 months, we've talked about her nonstop. So without any further ado, I finally have a chance to bring on Mrs. Stephanie Phillips.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Great. I'm so happy to finally have you on the show. I feel so terrible because we had to bug you a lot, but we love you here in the store from, the very first time I was introduced to you, which was A Man Among Ye. And now, we're so proud of you. You're over here writing Harley Quinn. First of all, Stephanie, just introduce yourself.
Sure. I write for DC, Top Cow / Image, heavy metal writing Tarna, and a few different titles, Aftershock. I just write a lot of stuff, and I like making comics. So
yeah. I feel like you are one of the busiest people in comic books right now because, you have something coming out almost every month, if not multiple releases, because you have Nuclear Family that just FOC'd last week. That's a new Aftershock book that you have coming out. You're going to be ongoing with Harley in March. Actually, this just came across, you're also working on this is a young adult, all ages graphic novel that you're working on with Wave Blue World.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. We did a YA graphic novel co-written by myself and Dave Johnson, and Marika Cresso did the art. Just did a phenomenal job. It's my first YA book, so I'm excited to see that one printed.
So I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way back to the beginning. Man Among Ye is actually hitting trade paperback this week, so you've finished it up. It's all done. But what I thought was really awesome was after I read the very first issue. First of all, the issue was great. If you love pirates, this is a book for you. But in your back matter, you went in on how you grew up in Tampa with Gasparilla and everything, and the pirate culture that is over there. The Bucks just won the Super Bowl. So talk to me a little bit about how your upbringing in Tampa kind of led to what you ended up doing in A Man Among Ye.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to talk to other people and realize that their childhoods did not involve as much pirate lore as I guess kids in Tampa do. Even going to school in Tampa, going to school in downtown Tampa, it's impossible to avoid things like Gasparilla, where it's there's a giant just pirate parade and every day passing the pirate ship that's docked at Tampa Bay. It's kind of just always there, and obviously the Buccaneers and things like that. So I've always really liked the history involved in it and kind of parsing out myth and fact, and I feel like that's kind of where A Man Among Ye came from, which is there's so much just myth surrounding these pirates, and it's really hard to say how much is true and how much isn't, but I think that's kind of the fun of it, which is you can kind of take something and play with all of the lore and mythology of Anne Bonny and Mary Read while still kind of giving them a compelling story, and almost taking them beyond some of that myth and saying we still get to explore other historical things going on. Most of the people we see in the comic are actual people that existed. Again, it's just some of the recorded history is not great, which is on the one hand frustrating, on the other hand as a creator kind of fun to get to play with that and build up some of the lore a little bit more.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it is based on some real people and everything like that. But like you mentioned, everything there's not history books for all of this stuff, and if there was, a lot of them might be at the bottom of the sea. So it allows you to use your creative juices to kind of go your own way. A Man Among You it came out in the middle of, or at the beginning of the pandemic, kind of like it was one of the first books to release after Diamond had picked back up. But I feel like that was both a blessing and a curse for the comic industry, because a lot more people were reading with the time they had spent at home. As a creator, did you kind of find that? I know you're on social media and you interact with your fans and things like that. Did you find that people were getting a chance to read during that time?
Definitely. I mean, I think they were, for all of us, kind of a saving grace to have that there and like still feel good about having content to read. I think there was a period, and maybe we're still in it, where we just don't have a lot of new content like movies or TV shows, but always having new comics, or even getting to go back and be like, oh, I never got a chance to read, this omnibus of something, is really nice to kind of still find a way to get a bunch of new content, and comics are so perfect for that.
Yeah, especially the independent books, which great segue into your other independent book that you had come after Man Among You, which was Red Atlantis, which was a cool kind of like, I hate to say political thriller, but it's definitely a thriller, like a little action. But this is based on a book, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Not a book,
or like,
so the concept was created by a former. I don't like just being like, oh, he was a spy for Russia, which is really cool. So he defected to the United States, and then this concept was something that he had come up with based on his time serving Russia, and wanted to kind of make a reality. Aftershock kind of signed like a deal with him to make it, and then they talked to me. I talked with him about what we could do with the concept and story. We thought it would be a great fit, and it was a lot of fun to work with somebody with so much just cool knowledge about stuff that, obviously I had no knowledge of prior. Like, I've never gotten to talk to somebody that was in espionage and had gone through even hearing about his life story about defecting and coming to the United States and, changing his name, like all these kinds of things that he had to go through, and then being able to translate portions of that into the book Red Atlantis, where it was a really cool creative process.
And talk to me a little bit about the difference between, getting to write something like A Man Among You, where, like you mentioned, you have a little bit of history there, but you kind of get to do the creative process yourself, where then you're writing something like this, where you're kind of speaking with somebody and then turning that into a book. Like, how do you approach that, those different situations?
Yeah, in this case, I was really trying to help bring a concept to life for Jan, and luckily his concept was really strong. Like, it was something I wanted to work on. When I was told about it, I was like, I can absolutely see bringing this to life with you. Once we got some of the kind of basic layers down and started building out a little bit of like a generic outline, Jan was kind of just like, okay, go with it, like. But the cool part is having that person to check in with, kind of going and saying like, hey, it would be cool if I could have some, Russian, what might, like, pals that were in the military together, like, are there phrases or, and getting to build that in, getting to kind of learn about martial arts that spies or soldiers in Russia are trained with was also really cool, and getting to then convey that into the comic. So it made for like a really cool resource without having somebody there that, was really heavily directing things. So I think it was a really good partnership.
Nice. That's awesome. And our fans have loved that book. I was able to get a lot of people subbed onto that book because, again, people, trust me, anybody that's walked through our store on a Wednesday has heard Stephanie Phillips, like, at some point in time, which actually, again, I'm just going chronologically at this point. Cybernetic Summer, you got to write a Red Tornado story in here, and no BS, I remember the day that I saw that you were in here, I said to Steven, what if this is a sign that Stephanie's going to be writing something else with DC? So before I ask you about Red Tornado, when this came out, did you know that you were going to be writing Harley in the future, or was that a product of this?
No, I knew that I was going to be working on Future State, I think, at that point. I'm pretty sure I knew Future State. So, I think Future State actually was like on my schedule before Red Tornado, so I may have been offered them like within a 2-week period, but I think Future State was offered first.
Okay.
In the time period that they come out, and obviously Red Tornado being an 8-page story versus Harley Quinn Future State, which is a much more expansive project to take on.
So talk to me a little bit about what it was like. I'm sure everybody that goes into creating comics at some point in their career or their childhood said, I want to write, for DC or for Marvel, or I want to write Spider-Man or Batman or Superman, something along those lines. And then when you get that phone call, you've been writing Man Among You, and you've been writing great stuff for all these other, smaller publishers. And then you get that phone call from DC. What was that like for you?
That was really cool. Like, especially a character like Harley that is really big, obviously a character that I love. So that was really cool itself. And then pretty shortly after, I got the call to continue with the ongoing. And, it was kind of one of those things where, in retrospect, I can see editors kind of being a little funny about it. Like the editors knew way before I did that they were offering it to me, but so they would be like, yeah, and maybe we'll find something else to work on. And then they would like kind of giggle. And I was like, I don't know what this means. So then getting that call where it was like, hey, you finished up 2 issues of Future State. Why don't you just keep writing Harley for the foreseeable future? And that was I waited for Ashton Kutcher to show up and be like, psych. That was really cool. Getting to tell my mom, and it definitely didn't feel real for a while. I think I kept waiting for it to be like, I'm gonna get a call tomorrow being like, we've made a mistake or something. So I was really excited, and getting to then look at Future State as like a place to really hone like the voice I wanted and the direction I wanted for Harley, even though it's kind of a very different setting. They're very different Gothams that we're dealing with, being like obviously a Future State Gotham versus going a little bit back and doing Gotham post Joker War. These are 2 very different settings. But I really wanted to take Future State as like, I want to establish the voice I want for Harley and the things that I think are important about the character, which meant like writing an issue 1 for the Harley ongoing felt like I was already a little familiar, so there weren't as many like anxiety moments, because I felt like, okay, I know Harley, like I've done 2 issues of Harley, and now technically it's number 3 instead of number 1, so it felt a little less like pressure cooker.
So Harley is, like you mentioned, she's a character that's been written, first of all, Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palmiotti, people really love those runs. She's somebody that people have, I hate to say shrines. People collect all Harley memorabilia. People are all Harley. You come into the first issue of Future State, and you didn't change the character per se, but you focused on her intelligence a little bit more than some previous runs had. She does have her PhD, but she was always kind of a goofy, character. Talk to me about what made you want to go in and focus on kind of her intelligence. And it's almost like a Silence of the Lambs type of thing that you were doing in Future State.
So I guess 2 things with that. One, being somebody that has a PhD, that was really important to me to highlight that aspect of the character, because it takes a lot to get that. And I guess maybe having the personal experience of knowing that side of it, that's not something that I thought Harley would just completely disregard in her life, and it would kind of color other things she's doing. The other thing is, I think she is really smart, and that's what makes her funny. Like, actually knowing how to be humorous or witty and understand timing and how she can use humor to push somebody's buttons is really a sign of intelligence. Like, somebody that's not very smart is not going to be that funny. And so getting to kind of use that as a way to build where the humor comes from, and also have the humor be very directed. So when she's being funny or super bubbly, usually there's a motive behind it. I think we've announced already that Hugo Strange is going to be a really big aspect of the ongoing series. And I kind of like that. Like, I like that he's a very serious, I'm a doctor. And then Harley is like, yeah, well, I am too. And I'm just going to mess with you because it's fun. I don't think she has as much to prove all the time. Like, to herself, she does, which is a big part of her character arc with us. But I like that she can use that humor as a weapon, and I think it's really fun to write that.
I know this is technically talking about number 1, but I feel like you've talked about it on social media. Can you tell us about Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin is great. I love Kevin so much. So we wanted kind of a representative, like we were talking about post-Joker War landscape in Gotham, and how Harley would interact with people that were also kind of taken advantage of by the Joker. Like, he led this group of people with a lot of promises. It's a lot of people that realize, like Harley did, that Joker is not this amazing villainous figure full of actual promises that he can make come to fruition. So, Harley, I think, feels a kind of empathy for these people that are now like, what do we do now? And she wants to kind of help. Obviously the city doesn't like them, rightfully so. They did some terrible things during Joker War. So Harley, I think, wants to figure out the best way to mediate that tension between the city of Gotham and the clowns. Kevin is a former Joker henchman, so giving him kind of that position of like the voice for a large group. And I wanted there to be this person that we could really empathize with, someone that has also done bad things, and he's trying to figure out a way to live with this and move forward in his life. And also, what does it mean to make amends for the things that he did during Joker War? So this is someone that I feel is a really complex character, gives Harley someone to really talk to, work with, and also kind of gives voice, I think, to the clowns post-Joker War.
And clearly, this is kind of, this character is created by you and Riley. So what's it like for you to be able to finally, you got to do Future State, but now you're going to kind of leave with Kevin, at least at the start of what we know so far. You're going to get to leave your mark with a character, Is it kind of like your baby at this point, like everything that you do with Kevin?
Absolutely. And it's cool to be able to build that out and talk with Riley, like, how would Kevin react to certain things, or to kind of solidify like a dialect for him, like how does he talk, how does he present himself, even going so far as talking with Riley, like what kind of music does Kevin listen to, like really building out this really full actual human being in the Gotham universe that gets to interact with Harley. And I think one of the best parts about writing Harley stories, it's a lot of really imperfect people, and that's what makes it fun to write, which is like, Harley's gonna backstep sometimes. She's trying, but like all of us, we try and sometimes mess up. And unfortunately, sometimes when Harley messes up, she messes up a little bigger than us, but that's the fun of it. And same with Kevin. Kevin is trying, and I think that it's a really human story set in a very weird city, and I think that that's really cool.
And I know for your first story arc, if not more, you'll get to focus on Harley and Kevin. But anytime somebody talks about Harley, I feel like a couple sentences later, everybody's asking, will Ivy show up? In your Harley, in your mind, I know you might not have even gotten to write it yet. Can you see Ivy popping up every once in a while in these books as a supporting character?
Yeah, so we actually have an Ivy Harley story that comes out in March that ties into the ongoing. So there's a story in Batman Urban Legends that Laura Braga drew that's like, here's where Ivy's at in this universe. I think we've already seen kind of the Ivy tie-ins pop up in a few other places in what James Tynion's doing in Batman. Also in the Catwoman run, we've kind of seen the little pieces of where Ivy is currently fitting into the Gotham universe. So I don't think I can say too much more about that other than, our Harley is pretty devoted to Ivy. Like that's something that I think is a part of Harley, whether Ivy is physically present or not. So along with the Laura Braga story that will tie into the ongoing, which will then start a week later, there are in issue 1, like we kind of see right away where Ivy's going to fit in as well. And the mentions of that will come up quite a bit.
Perfect. I think you're literally, without having read issue 1 yet, just having read the 2 Future States, I think Harley fans are going to love what you're bringing to the character. Talk to me a little bit, but I know you have another project with DC, but I'm going to kind of ask you, what's it been like? I know you haven't gotten to do it for too long, but what's it been like working at DC? There's a lot of, big names, like you named James, Scott Snyder, Amanda Connor, actually, like I mentioned, has been one of kind of Harley's moms for a long time. Have you had a chance to interact with some of these people yet in your short time at DC?
Yeah, I knew Jimmy and Amanda before working at DC at all, and they're absolutely wonderful. Actually, the very first comic I wrote, Amanda did a cover for it, and that is that always meant a lot to me because it's like two people that I really look up to. And then, of course, as soon as I was able to tell people about the Harley news, I think they're kind of the first two people I texted, and I was like, hey, like I hope I do her justice. And yeah, it was really nice to be able to talk with them and other people that have written Harley, obviously like Frank Thierry, getting to talk with some of these people just about like how we're all approaching this character. And know that I'm falling in some really big footsteps, which is like, obviously it's a little intimidating because they're all so talented. And it's fun though to be able to take the character and say like, okay, I can kind of read this and see like, here's what Frank liked a lot about them. Here's what Jimmy and Amanda liked a lot about Harley. And then kind of add like, and here's another thing that I think is cool about Harley. So I hope that, I'm still keeping the same Harley Quinn that people know and love while also getting to show a bit of the sides of her that I think I personally find interesting.
Like I said, I'm fairly optimistic that your take on Harley will keep everybody happy while also bringing in a lot of new readers. And that's just coming, from my standpoint, just as a retailer, but having read everything, I do think a lot of new people will be picking up Harley. The other thing that you have working on, I believe we're literally, we FOC'd it just yesterday or 2 days ago now, Sensational Wonder Woman, which was a digital first, if I'm not mistaken. So technically you've wrote that a while ago. But talk to me about what the Sensational Wonder Woman story is.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to write. We wanted to go in like a really classic, like who is Wonder Woman route. And so I started with that layer, which is like, who is Wonder Woman, and what if you take away things that make her very obviously Wonder Woman. So we kind of have her trapped in like I guess we'll call it like a mind prison from Dr. Psycho. And she really has to try to remember who she is in order to get out of this, which was, I don't know, I think kind of cool. The mind prison that, her mind creates in here and Dr. Psycho creates for her is like a very 1950s housewife scenario. So I really wanted to like have this shocking opening image of just Wonder Woman in like a kitchen and 1950s like suburbia, and it's just like a place we wouldn't expect to see Diana. Yeah. And so like her having to kind of rediscover, like without the costume, without the powers, even trapped in her own mind, like you can't really get rid of who Diana is. Like this part of being Wonder Woman is so hardwired into her DNA that it's going to become instinctual, like even when you start taking away things like the bracers or things like that.
So, Stephanie, in 2020, you, I swear, were the busiest woman in comic books. You put out, I think if we include A Man Among You, you put out like 3 or 4 trade paperback, like full story arcs and things in 2020. Then you get to write Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn, and you get the news. What does 2021 have in store for Stephanie Phillips? Because 2020 was a kind of big year despite everything going on.
Yeah, I have a lot of other stuff. I've written my 2 favorite characters of all time. They have not been announced yet, so that is really cool. Definitely some like nerdy fan moments of getting to write characters that like I'm not really a like bucket list kind of person, but if I had one, they would be on it. And getting to check those boxes pretty quickly in like the move to DC is really cool. I've also started work on a pretty big thing for DC that has like I can't say too much other than probably one of my favorite living artists attached to it. So that is, kind of still like reality might not be at reality right now because it kind of always seems like me. Sure.
But it really couldn't happen to a better person, Stephanie. Like honestly, I know this is the first time our customers have gotten to see you, but you've been a friend of the store. You've sent us signed stuff. We can't say enough that this stuff is really happening. Couldn't have happened to a better person. But it sounds like you have an even potentially bigger 2021 in store for us. So I'm going to keep our eyes out. Before I let you go, we've had a lot of people pre-order Nuclear Family. So since I have you on here, can you just give them a quick synopsis of what to expect in a couple weeks when Nuclear Family drops?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to write. Kind of getting to riff off of a short story that Philip K. Dick wrote, which is really the starting point. But I see the short story as like the diving board, and then our story is everything that comes after, like creating this world. It's very. I watched a lot of Twilight Zone kind of in preparation for it, so it's got a really weird twist. Like there's something I feel like inherently creepy about 1950s America, and it's just I think a lot of it has to do with just like weaponizing fear in different ways, which is I think a bit relatable to stuff we're going through now, but it's very interesting to see how that's historically happened at so many different points in time. So I also wanted, I like following a family. I think it's interesting to see like below when you have these like idyllic American 1950s suburban families. Let's show how messed up this can get and how dirty these things actually were, and try to like demystify some of this like idealized America, which is I think really cool that we got to do this. And Tony Shasteen on art is just absolutely incredible. Helping design this kind of like alternate reality that we find this family trapped in. So I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, we're super excited for it too. We ordered heavily on it. We'll have the variant covers and the A covers. I mean, honestly, if Stephanie Phillips' name on it, we're ordering it. But Stephanie, thank you so much for your time. I didn't even get a chance to mention you are technically working on something horror anthology for Mad Cave Studios. I did reach out to them to make sure they spell your name right. Make sure I get that press release fixed. But yeah, so guys, her name is Stephanie Phillips. If you don't know it yet, please get to know it, because she's done Artemis and the Assassin. She did DC Cybernetic Suburb Red Tornado Story. She did Red Atlantis. She did Man Among Ye. She's got a young adult graphic novel coming out. We have the first issue of it. And then she's writing Harley Quinn, guys. Second print, awesome design, great covers by Derek Chu. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Best of luck with everything going on. And whenever this all blows over, whether it be 2022, 2050, we're inviting you over to the collective for a signing. So one day we will get you here.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Best of luck with the rest of your stuff. We can't wait to see it, and you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And that was Stephanie Phillips. I want to send her so many thank yous for joining us. We've been trying to get her on the show. She is uber talented. If you haven't read any of her books, check them out. Any of her books, you can buy them here at the collective. They'll be returnable. If for whatever reason you don't like them, bring them back. I don't think you'll be bringing any of them back, but just ask us about her. We'll drop an extra book in your tab. This has been Danny Morales, and join us tomorrow on our collective happy hour hump day auction, where we will have an animatronic talking Deadpool head starting at $1. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you later.